The notion of finely crafted, I think, is very personal to me. And I think it's very important for any agency that doesn't just want to compete on we are the most cost-effective pair of hands to write some lines of code.
This is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Lauren Cox. Today we're here with Jake Goldman, founder of 10up and partner at Fueled. Welcome, Jake.
Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful, thank you. I would love to start out with understanding a little bit about 10up and the founding story, and then we'll kind of go on to the future.
I founded the company after having previously been at a much smaller agency that was getting out of an era of let's call it small, proprietary, there of dozens and dozens of CMSs, this one happening to be on Cold Fusion. The partner that I was working with at the time there went deep into Drupal. I said, this WordPress thing looks pretty interesting. I think I got probably a strange expression, but started going to some WordCamps, started building sites with WordPress, was pushing things like custom post types before there were things like custom post types in WordPress, and thought there was really something here. Not only is there really something here, not only is this platform quickly improving, changing, getting better. After the previous company that I was at sort of had a falling out, if you will, with that ownership, decided it was very much time to start my own thing, or at least contemplate starting my own thing. And I thought there was a huge opportunity at that time focused on WordPress, both the technology, but also creating great editorial experiences, where in particular, back in 2011, WordPress really stood out from the crowd, particularly among affordable tools and open source tools. So I started with this vision of, I think if we can get in, do great work, put a great focus on enterprise experience and customer experience, build on all these partnerships and relationships. I wasn't starting from ground zero and working in agencies, working with clients, having a network that we could break in at a moment where there was a chance to establish a set of agencies, a set of players as really leaders.
Yeah, that's awesome. And well, recently you've partnered now with Fuel, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Fuel, for those that might not know them in this ecosystem, I'd like to think if what 10up might be to WordPress and some CMS marketplaces, Fueled very much is to mobile application development in particular. Some incredibly impressive work they've done for companies like Warby Parker, helping them conceptualize, design, build impressive apps like in-store experiences at Verizon using beacons and like in-person experiences. We have both of these companies felt like their journey was to be more than a sort of a one-trick pony, to diversify, to be able to be that full digital agency, that full experience provider with concentration and focus in certain technologies. We're not a company that will just say whatever CMS you want, for example, or whatever technology you want. We're not shallow, we're deep as a business. But it just made perfect sense in terms of from the frame of reference of let's round out all of our capabilities. Both of our customers could use the experience of each other.
So tell me a little bit about one thing that 10up is known for is finely crafted. So I'd love to understand a little bit like how do your clients experience finely crafted?
The notion of finely crafted, I think, is very personal to me. And I think it's very important for any agency that doesn't just want to compete on we are the most cost-effective pair of hands to write some lines of code for you. I think to be in a premium agency position, you have to put it succinctly, you have to do something premium. You have to be more than just table stakes. For us, that manifests as finely crafted. And I think to be more specific, there's certainly an element of that, which is like polish and refinement of the design and the customer experience and the UI. But it's deeper than that. It's also the customer experience that we create. It's the tools and enablement we put around how we work together. I like to say that value transcends as deep as like when we write a blog post internally or put out a piece of marketing that we put in that last 10% where the name 10up came from. But it also transcends into things like when we write code. We are very opinionated about code style. We are very opinionated about the quality of the code we write, and sort of like, almost like a Germanic car precision, right, that we want to put into that work. So I think the idea that everything we do from code to those experiences that the consumers will never see, just the editors that have to go in and create pages, manage their content, to the stories we tell, to the content we create internally, to our marketing presentations and the quality of a proposal that we have when we put it out the door. It's a premium framing that touches everything we do.
You have a very clear vision for 10up, and so I think what I'm interested in is like what gets you up and motivated in the morning to like to live that vision, to achieve the next big thing.
So we've gone through this exercise as a now integrated company, sort of like reformulate what are the core values.
Yeah.
And, I may be a little bit verbose. TenUp may have been a little bit verbose in its history of having like 8 core values. Maybe not 8. Nobody can remember 8. So we've sort of narrowed it down to 4, but I think the paramount value, the one that stands out to me the most is this notion of having an impact.
Yeah.
Or just the word impact, which is to say, I think when you look across what we do, what Fuel does, what TenUp does, what we do together, a lot of it is motivated by a sense of wanting to have influence beyond our immediate sphere. And that takes a lot of different forms. We'll probably touch on some of the other topics we'll get into. That is to say, I find joy, I think our company finds joy in things like making a free open source plugin for AI or content distribution that hundreds of thousands, in some cases of millions of people will use, some of whom will never pay us $1.
Yeah.
Some of whom, most of whom, definitionally, I don't know millions of people, most of whom I will never meet.
Yeah.
That in some small way made their marketing, made their content editorial experience, made their lives in some very small, maybe frivolous kind of way a little bit better.
Yeah.
All the way to getting to work for clients on public-facing pages for Salesforce or Google Sitekit being one of the projects we work on, and the joy I find in winning customers like Starbucks or Hilton as a customer. What motivates me is I'm doing something that, again, millions and millions of people that will never meet me don't know who I am, touch and intersect in some small way. So I think that's the idea of impact, making a difference in some small way.
Some of the plugins are really popular from TenUp. And so tell me, how do they all have different origin stories? Are they built for customers and then open sourced, or is it different kind of how do you get there?
We don't go into a lab somewhere and just dream up what could someone possibly need, which I don't think is a good way to do product development in general. I could think of multiple examples, some of our most let's call it impactful plugins. I don't think they're necessarily our most used plugins or most downloaded plugins. Ones we're very proud of, like Distributor, which solves, I think, a very hard problem in CMS, in WordPress, which is I have multiple sites, I may have multiple publications. I need to get content that I want to write once and share across multiple sites. Now, there's many permutations that take for customers. We have publishers who own multiple sites, who want to be able to publish news stories very quickly across multiple sites. There are marketing customers that it's as simple as I have a privacy policy page that I don't have to update in 15 places across all my microsites, or about company pages. That came from different permutations of solving that problem over and over again for customers, wanting to be innovative, wanting to be cost competitive, wanting to actually make the best possible solution for them. We took that spark that we saw across multiple customers, researched those use cases, and came up with the best solution. So our Classify, our AI plugin, even simple plugins that are wildly popular, like we have a simple drag and drop page ordering solution. All of those came from feeling a client pain, seeing the same kind of problem popping up over and over again for customers, feeling like it's, we have done something wrong here if we keep charging our customers to solve this problem.
Tell me a little bit about how you think your customers, what makes you think that your end clients work with WP Engine as well?
It's not a terribly complicated formulation for them. The attraction to WP Engine has to do with a sense of reliability, has to do with a sense of focus. I think there is comfort in knowing that we know the platform well, that we have a relationship, that they're not on their own, that they're working with an agency that understands the technology well. We didn't just randomly find this provider, that we do have a level of access, that we do have a level of impact.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, quite frankly, it's reliability, customer service, dependability as a platform.
We've started to really dive into the headless platform that we have, Atlas. And so I'd love for you to tell me a little bit of do you find that customers are interested in hearing about a headless CMS, or there's pushback? I'd love to hear about that.
I guess long story short, I think headless is maybe less seen as it's the inevitable future of all the things than it was even a few years ago. Yeah. But I think it has clearly established a real and authentic use case in a world of the composable CMS, in the world of the multiple CMSs, multiple platforms, multiple data sources, and in a place where we need to recognize that you have a lot of good front-end developers and talent out there that just are not going to become experts in back-end technologies for some CMSs.
So tell me a little bit about, we're going to hit on a little bit of a trend, right? That people, a lot of people are trying to explore how AI can particularly help their business, right? Or their workflow, their website, however. Do you hear those kind of comments, questions from your clients? And like, do you have any specific recommendations that you give them, like depending on the circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, yes to all of the above. I think it is, I mean, there's no client that does not utter the words, or prospect that does not utter the words AI or have an expectation that there's some commentary. Now, that ranges from, we would like to understand how you will deploy AI, to more of, let's call it kicking the tires. Like, are you thinking about this? Where do you think this is going? Maybe trying to verify that we're at least thinking about that problem before it becomes a bigger problem for them.
Yeah.
Frankly, sometimes this goes as far, where it comes up is in compliance contexts at this point.
Yeah.
We do quite a bit of work, for example, with the state of California.
Yep.
As a government, there's quite a bit of regulation emerging in that state, or mandates in that state around, if not, not disallowing data or AI usage, but like transparency and disclosure
data
about
privacy,
how you're using it, and dev practices and all the rest.
Yeah.
And the contexts range from, how can we use this to most effectively make sure people are staying on our site, that we're writing the best content, that we're writing SEO-friendly content? How can we use it to create efficiency for translation, whether that's for, I don't have to create transcripts for certain content, whether that's my tags are constantly a mess, how do I create some cleanup and uniformity around it? It comes up in the context of QA and engineering. How are we creating efficiencies? Where are we safely using these tools?
Yeah, and it just seems that there seems to be a lot of interest in it, but you have quite a large range of like what you're addressing with prospects or clients.
Yeah, I think the most common use case for us, where we have even some of our own tools that we've developed, has to do with creating efficiencies for content creators. This goes back to like this, creating content tools, creating content solutions. So what we really put the focus on is not any notion that anybody should be just eliminating human content creators, but where can you create acceleration? Where can you make it a little easier to say, can you clean up this? Help me clean up this paragraph that I just wrote that can maybe be a little bit shorter. Can you generate an image for me? Right? Can you save me the time of having to create manual captions for everything that I create in the site? If I upload an audio file, can you create a page that has a transcription? And then we have lots of spaces where, as smart technologists, we're doing one-off solutioning, where we're coming up with good answers and good partners, ranging from things like chatbots to, with our partner Fueled Now, we did a really interesting project with Tony Robbins, where it's like a virtual, like it sort of, how to say it, like create sort of like a mini LLM version of like how he would coach people using a lot of his proprietary content.
Yeah. So I'd love to finish with a little bit on what we talked a little bit about, what gets you inspired, what gets you up in the morning. And then I'd love to finish on a darker mood of like what keeps you up at night.
This emergence of technologies we've talked about, like AI, the fact that I think, in part because of AI, but not only because of AI, things like engineering, things like app development, things like website development are both becoming easier. Sometimes it's not AI, sometimes it's things like low code and no code, getting more sophisticated and more capable. Just documentation continuously getting better on the web. Platforms like WordPress and others, I think, becoming a bit more commoditized in terms of skill set and capability. Going back to that like finely crafted bit, it's not enough. We're not going to succeed in the long run if we just sort of are doing the minimum, sort of sleepwalking, continuing to crank out WordPress websites and apps. More than ever, the era that we're heading into, it's about competing in the idea economy. It's about being consultants to our customers. It's about the idea of engineer as a problem solver, not just a programmer. So I think as those technologies that can all keep us up at night arise, the most important thing is continuing to cultivate a culture, continuing to cultivate a team that is hungry to help our customers, that understands that they have to show up every day, not doing the minimum, but really proving value to customers, being creative, being innovative.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
This is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Lauren Cox. Today, thank you so much. I had Jake Goldman, founder of 10up and partner at Fueled. Thank you.